Hayden Phillips, 31st. That's really the one driver. He's starting inside row 4 that is here on a weekly basis, that has a presence on the national scene as the green flag is in the air and 20 times around for our Pitts Homes USRA Modifieds, and a great start in this one for Robbie Reed as he will get out by 3 car lengths over Chase Domer as well as Terry Kirk. Kirk on the outside. Domer looks to the inside as they are too wide, way deep in the field, all the way back from second to the last place. They are side by side. The only one that's by himself is Robbie Reed out in front.
Reed dives it into turn at number 3. Domer giving chase with Kirk trying his hand at the high side of the racetrack. Kirk gets a good run off the top of turn number 4 and will try to pull up alongside the man from Mexico, Missouri. Domer keeps that 227 to the bottom of the track, drifts up on the exit of turn number 2, and that gives Kirk sole possession of second place and doesn't open the door for Chase Jones, Peyton Phillips, and right behind them, Evan Hubert. Hollywood Robert Heidenreich hightailing it around the high side of the racetrack, right where he wants to be, and the track drying up, getting a little darker, getting a little slicker. It means that'll get a little bit racier. We'll probably have 3 grooves to pick from before it's all said and done.
And I am telling you, if Terry Kirk is able to keep it straight as he gets pinned up by the wall by Robbie Reed, if he continues to keep turning lap times the way he is up on the high side, it's only going to be a matter of laps before he gets around Robbie Reed. He had a great run coming off of turn 4. Reed pinched him up high, did not let him make that pass, and he does the same thing again. This time contact made and the sheet metal crumpled up on the right rear of that number 5 machine. Corey, how many times this year has Robbie Reed learned that if you leave that high line open, you're going to get passed? 2 straight times he came up and cut the nose off of Terry Kirk. Kirk did not have any of it that last go around as he got to the outside, grabbed the lead, gives it back up to Reed, but now off of turn number 2, he will have another good run, get out by a car length, but Robbie Reed will come fighting back on the inside.
Reed is right where he normally likes to have that Vanderbilt shade. He's catfishing around the bottom of the racetrack, but Kirk, Domer, Heidenreich, Hubert, all going up to the top, and that line is really coming in. Watch Kirk now sling it through the top of turn number 4, get a big run, and rockets around Robbie Reed. All the while, though, the 112 of Moon in trouble, and that's...
Peyton Phillips should be behind Heidenreich, but Evan Hubert's there instead. I think Peyton just wants to go low, so he takes that inside line. Now Robbie Reed right on the back bumper of Kirk. Domer gets him to the back end of Robbie Reed. Reed will grab the lead, slide high on the track. Terry Kirk with the crossover goes underneath as a caution comes out. 3 cars all involved in an incident over in turn 4. 7 down. 13 to go, and the green flag back in the air, and Terry Kirk's going to stand on it. Robbie Reed's going to be right there with him to the inside. Here comes Chase Domer, looking to the inside of Terry Kirk, but Kirk again, Corey, just so impressive off of turn 1, just like he is slingshot out of that turn. He will get around Robbie Reed and lead by 2 car lengths.
And here comes Hollywood Robert Heidenreich, but Heidenreich buried at the bottom of the track as Jones spins around in between 1 and 2.
But off of turn 2 is whenever he is really able to set himself apart. And again, Robbie Reed right up alongside. He'll almost have the lead across the line on the restart. Reed way down low. Can Terry Kirk get that coveted run off the top of turn 2? It's not quite as fast as it was on the previous lap, and Robbie Reed's able to hang out in front. But back in third, I'm telling you folks, watch the 227 of Chase Domer. He's going to be a contender in this before it's all said and done. He's sitting in third. Peyton Phillips on the high side of a 3-wide battle with Wolf and Heidenreich to the inside. That's a fight for fourth as the top 3 cars now strung out. Single file, they fan out over in turns 3 and 4, and Reed will lead them off of 4 again, completing lap number 10.
Donnie Fellers makes contact with Chase Jones, the 24D and the 03. Bump and grind down the front straightaway. Then Jones almost gets turned as he comes up in front of another car. He and the driver from Wheatland able to get around him, and then Terry Kirk went way high in turn number 4, Shane. That opens the door for Domer, who comes charging around the 155 as they work off of turn 2.
Kirk went over the edge in turn 4, lost a lot of ground. That opens it up for Chase Domer, who grabs second. Both those two cars will go to the high side. Now Peyton Phillips, who's running in the top 5 right now with Tyler Wolf, or Tracy Wolf, that is, in a 3-car battle for third. Wolf has kind of come out of nowhere, Corey, as he is now worked up to third, and Terry Kirk has just set anchor. He goes from the lead all the way back to 5th on that last restart, so in the span of 3 laps, now 4, he's lost 4 positions.
Now, hard to recover sometimes in a moment like that, and that's what's going on for the 155, who've been our race leader for the majority of this 13 laps in the books. Right now, though, the question becomes, how many laps does Chase Domer need to try and reel in Robbie Reed, as now Evan Hubert goes for a ride in turn number 4.
Finished third, his best finish of the year, and now he's running in the top 5 again, but he has had a number of mechanical issues and just bad luck. And tonight, he is running in 4th right now, as Wolf goes higher than Peyton Phillips, and Robbie Reed, he just jets out in front of everybody, a 4-car length advantage over Chase Domer.
The question is, can Terry Kirk find what he had for those first dozen or so laps? Right now, he's got Skaggs to his inside and Peyton Phillips right in front of him. Meanwhile, on the exit of turn number 2, Robbie Reed gets a good run and puts a couple of car lengths between he and Chase Domer. As Tracy Wolf goes through that middle line, Domer slides up behind the 5 of Robbie Reed.
Riley Whitworth goes to the inside of the white tires in turn 1 before he gets back out on the track. It's been a rough night so far for Riley Whitworth out of Humboldt, Kansas. So Robbie Reed, now that he has gotten out in fresh air, he has checked out. And your question was, can Terry Kirk find the magic that he found in the opening couple of laps? And whenever you talk about clean air and being out in front, a lot of people think, you know, dirt track racing, modifieds, short track, clean air isn't really king. Well, I think the drivers would tell you a little bit different. There's something a little different about being out in front, nothing in your windshield you got to look at, nothing you've got to adjust for. Once you get back in traffic, yeah, wind does whip around a little bit. If it didn't, these cars wouldn't have spoilers on it for starters.
That's right.
So now that Terry Kirk has gotten back in the field, he is just continuing to fall back in the pack. One more time around for Robbie Reed. Does Chase Domer have anything for him? We've seen this story play out before, but this time I think Robbie Reed has what it's going to take to stay out in front. Middle of the track through turns 3 and 4. He will exit turn 4 and cruise to his 3rd win of the season.
Brown spies the orange cone inside that big orange tire. You can watch with me as the street stocks come screaming to life. Derek Brown, different night, same start as he starts to pull away from the field. Flood trying to stay with him. Here comes Kevin Salter, that bad boy mower's 23, trying to wheel his way around James Flood, and he does. Shane and I joked about seeing what the 23 could do against Brown when so few cars have been able to knock the stud from Stoutland, Missouri off his perch. That's exactly what Salter is trying to do right now as he keeps that 23 pinned to the inside. Brown continues to lead here 2 laps into our 25-lap feature for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Street Stocks. Brian Brown now trying to move up as Flood is in danger of getting shuffled back another spot. James currently in 3rd, with Brown trying to take the spot away. Tries to go around him on the outside of turn number 4, but gets cut off, and he'll try to make the same move on the exit of turn number 2, with Johnny Coates behind them in 5th, and Colton Borland in that black deuce riding in 6th. The 2-time track champ Toby Ott right by. Brown will bear down here and take the green flag once again and try to keep this field of strong street stocks behind him. Flood and Salter side by side through turn number 2. Johnny Coates tried to give it a run on the outside and pull up alongside the 69 of Brian Brown. 2 by 2 behind your race leader. That's how they come down the front stretch. Salter not really making a move just yet right now, Shane, on Derek Brown. Probably more in danger of James Flood trying to come up and grab that spot away from him.
Well, you say that, but then whenever you look at the turns, that's whenever Salter really gets a lot of advantage, especially when 3 and 4. He doesn't have quite as much in turns 1 and 2, but he has been able to just bury it over into turn 3, pick up a lot of ground. There it is right there. He goes from 5 car lengths to about 2 car lengths. Derek Brown has the horsepower that comes off of turn 4 and able to get that advantage back out. But we've seen so many times this year whenever Derek Brown has gotten out in front, he's just been able to check out. That advantage really has not changed much in the 5 or 6 laps. Salter's hanging with him, and where Derek Brown has an advantage is we've seen him so many times just go error-free in a race. He doesn't make many bobbles. And Kevin Salter, he's going to have to make something happen himself if he's going to find a way to get around the 11.
And he has so far in the last couple laps as the driver from Batesville, as he's cut a couple of tenths of a second off of Brown's lead the last time, now within 2 car lengths, and he cuts another tenth of a second off the lead. So Salter continuing to whittle away with the power of that Rubel race engine under the hood. He will giddy up and get just about a car length behind your race leader, Derek Brown. Good race for third as well, as Brian Brown chases James Flood. Again, just the second race back this season for James Flood, who had always been a dominating force here at the Diamond of Dirt tracks in previous seasons. But right now, the driver from Batesville, Kevin Salter, ran the big buck here in 2019. Already has 3 wins on the season at other tracks. But Shane, a consistent car, a consistent driver. When we talked to Salter, he told us, throw out one bad weekend this year, and he's pretty much in the top 10 everywhere.
Yep, he has been there week in, week out. Typically runs in the top 5, and he's going to be there at the end of this race unless he just makes a mistake. He has stayed right with Derek Brown, and those extra 5 laps might come in handy for him in this. As we are 11 laps in, we would be past the halfway point on a normal night, but here comes Salter looking to the inside of Derek Brown.
Tries to get the nose under the 11, unable to do so on the entry of turn number 3. 1 car to the infield as Brown continues his stranglehold on the lead. Brandon Dunham takes his 7 into the infield, and that's where he will be parked and stopped. The race continues here. Salter this time pulls right up on the back bumper again of Derek Brown. It was 4/10 of a second, the difference between 1 and 2 the last time around. It continues to hover right around that mark. Now as Toby Ott has brought the 27 on into the top 5. Your 2-time track champion got around Johnny Coates on the previous lap. Is trying to move that 27 a little bit further up the racetrack. Rein in James Flood and Brian Brown as Salter pulls up alongside right behind Derek Brown. And now Shane, the great equalizer, we always talk about lap traffic here, but immediately the lap traffic gets out of the way of your current points leader. Maybe doesn't make it quite as easy for Salter though.
Well, Salter and Brown have both been running on the inside lap after lap after lap. And what Salter's going to have to do now is either dig it in a little deeper into the turn, get the nose in and try to root Derek Brown out of that line, or Salter's going to have to go to the middle of the track or higher to try to find a way to get around him, and that's exactly what Salter is doing now. He was running right in the tire tracks, now 1 lane higher, trying to find some momentum. I don't think he's going to find any moisture or tacky stuff in the middle of the track. He might have to go even just a touch higher than that if he's going to find a way to get around Derek Brown. He's just going to have to budge off of that line or move Derek Brown off of his.
And that high line we talk about constantly when it comes to the modifieds. We talk about it with the late models. Don't normally see a ton of street stock guys go up there with success, but right now Salter is finding some. Brown now tracks up just a little bit, and Salter slingshots around the 11 and takes the lead for the first time as we begin lap number 18 of this 25 lap feature. Salter, a good run off of turn number 2, and has got a little bit of breathing room between he and Brown, and now Derek Brown starts to adjust his line shape.
So Salter goes up high to pass Brown. Brown obviously knows there's got to be some speed up there because Salter was able to find it. My question was Salter going to go back down lower on the track and take the line away from Derek Brown? But the way that he is starting to gap him right now, don't think it's really going to matter as a spin. And Toby Lindell will park it on the inside of turn 4. We stay green for right now. He is inside that tire and maybe in a safe space right there with 5 to go.
5 laps more with Kevin Salter out in front after Derek Brown had led the majority of the race, and now the caution lights come on. Looking for 2 wins on the weekend, but he's going to have to get around that bad boy mowers ride out of Batesville.
Good restart for Salter.
Gets a good jump. Brown puts his nose to the inside of the 23, drifts up behind him with James Flood and Brian Brown about 5 or 6 car lengths back behind them. Good battle for first, and now Brown to the inside again, but it's Salter who holds on. James Flood running in 3rd, Brown running in 4th. Johnny Coates out of Joplin and Toby Ott from right here in Wheatland going side by side in a battle for 5th off of turn number 2. So we've seen both of these drivers who are out in front go fishing, looking for that line that gives them just a little bit more speed, what you need for one street stock to be able to get around the other. Right now, Brown continues to wet that line, looking for the perfect spot to be. Salter up a little bit higher this time, plenty of room at the bottom of the racetrack. They drag race down the front stretch, and Salter holds on by 6/100ths of a second that time around. Brown battles back in front of him off of turn number 2. Salter takes the spot back.
And Salter's going to have to find a way to keep Derek Brown from getting down to the inside with 1 to go. Derek Brown's getting a lot of speed coming off of turn 4.
White flag one more time around. Brown and Salter putting on a show here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Street Stock Division. Flood in 3rd, Brian Brown in 4th. One more turn for the 5-time winner here at the Diamond of Dirt Tracks. But coming off of turn number 4, it'll be the bad boy mowers ride out of Batesville. Kevin Salter comes to Wheatland and gets out of town with a race win.
Throw in Eric Turner back there in row 3 that's got a feature win on the season already, and this should be fun. The B-Mods make a beeline into turn 1, and Chris Jackson gets a nose out in front of Gottschall. Here comes J.C. Morton in the number 18. Morton will run the high side, which he does on tracks all across the Midwest, and he has been able to collect 9 wins so far on the season. Lots of calamity as Wes Briggs is sideways. Ben Newell comes to the hot shoes across the Midwest right here on a weekly basis. They stack up 2, 3, 4 with Bryce Gottschall in there as well. Gottschall will get up into Chris Jackson just a little bit, bump him out of the line. It's 3 wide behind Chris Jackson in a fight for second. Andy Bryant to the inside, J.C. Morton on the outside, and Bryce Gottschall caught right in the middle. He will try to split the wicket between those other 2 cars. Morton will do the crossover, dip to the inside of Gottschall, completing lap number 1. Gottschall goes way high, so he starts on the point, and he has already given up 2 spots with Chris Jackson and Andy Bryant both getting around him.
But going up high for Bryce Gottschall right now hasn't necessarily been the problem. That was where he found all that speed earlier. Look at the run he gets off of Ford. That allows him to pull up alongside J.C. Morton, but trouble on the backstretch. Is the 14 going to get off in time? He does. Nope.
Able to let us get back to green until a lap later, but indeed we will, as Chris Jackson off of turn 4 leads him over into turn 1. Morton and Bryant side by side. There's Eric Turner. He started back in row 3, a feature winner already here this year. He's gotten up to 4th as Gottschall has fallen back to 5th, and J.C. Newell, he continues to hang tough in there. He's running in the 6th position with John Sheets in 7th.
Look at Andy Bryant now starting to chase J.C. Morton up the racetrack. The nose of the 28 drifts to the inside just a little bit as the 18 and the 28 try their hand at the high line, which is where we know Bryant always likes to run. Both of them chasing Chris Jackson as another car comes to rest on the infield. This time it's Fort Scott's Jake Herford. The 16H retires to the infield in a rather abrupt fashion.
Not the way he wanted to get to the infield.
No.
So now Turner on the inside of Andy Bryant. That's a side-by-side battle for third as Chris Jackson has started to check out. He's running the low line. J.C. Morton up on the top side. Eric Turner trying to clear Andy Bryant off of turn 4, unable to do it that time. So now the top 7, 8 cars have all really spread out. Only real side-by-side battle up for a top 5 position is that Andy Bryant-Eric Turner battle, and that is a fight for third. Lined out from 4th all the way back to 7th, and that is where John Sheets works to the outside of Mitchell Franklin.
Andy Bryant has gotten higher and higher in turns 3 and 4, driving that thing like a late model, just diving it into 3, throwing the rear end around and getting right up against the cushion, but it hasn't given him the ability to get back around Eric Turner. That 99T has been a powerful car each time it comes to the track, and right now Bryant, that normally can clear somebody just by choosing that outside lane, can't get away from the veteran driver.
So now Turner, will he be able to clear him this time? Yes, he will. He will move up in front of Andy Bryant and then go right back down to the bottom of the track. J.C. Morton trying to do the same thing to see if he can find some moisture at the top of the track, get a little bit of grip, and catch up with the 65 who has set sail. Chris Jackson is off and running. Now that Turner's gotten by Andy Bryant, Bryant's starting to drift back even a little bit further. That's where J.C. Newell and Bryce Gottschall are. Newell looking to the inside of Gottschall, unable to make a move in turns 3 and 4 that time. Now lap traffic going to start to play a factor in this one as they are about 2 laps away from catching up with that lap traffic. Mike Benjamin would be the first to go a lap down in the number 51, who's running tailback right now. He's all alone on an island of his own. 3-car lengths now, the difference between lap traffic and Chris Jackson. Jimmy Cummings will look to the inside.
Not for long. Watch Jackson off of turn number 3 as Cummings exits to the infield. Jackson going to wheel it around the veteran driver from Iowa now, and he continues, Shane, to add to this lead. Jackson's lead now 2.5 seconds over J.C. Morton.
That lead just going to continue to grow because Chris Jackson can pick and choose any line he wants to right now. Nobody really in front of him, nobody behind him. Greg Scheffler would be the next to go a lap down, and that's a good half a lap away. Good side-by-side battle on deep in the field. Ben Newell has Wes Briggs to the outside, Braden Skaggs in there as well. Yes, that is towards the end of the field, but that's really the only side-by-side action to speak of, with the exception of a fight for 7th. That's Mitchell Franklin on the inside of John Sheets, Super 8 running middle of the track. Mitchell Franklin, we documented earlier, had to do a lot of work to that F1 machine. Josh Franklin, the father of Mitchell, the car builder on that, had to get it up on a lift, and after they left the track last night, they knew there was some body damage, but just didn't know how much damage there was until they got it up on the lift. So they have gotten that one straightened out, and John Sheets is going to lose another position as the 32 will get around him, Robbie Ewing, and will bump up one more spot.
Sheets had a podium finish last night, 3rd at Humboldt, as he went and ran the Hummer and got a 3rd place finish, but right now he has seen the F1 and the 32 of Ewing get around him. Yeah, you got to tip your cap to the Franklin Motorsports team for the amount of wrench time that they put in to get that car ready to go, and hopefully they'll be rewarded with a top 10 or maybe a top 5 finish as Mitchell continues to get up on the wheel, now trying to get up to Bryce Gottschall and Newell as they come upon lap traffic now in turn number 4 as they chase Andy Bryant. Now Greg Scheffler spins it out in turn number 2 and comes to rest inside the white tire.
Turn 4. He presses down on the loud pedal. Green flag is out. 3 laps remain for these B-mods, and Chris Jackson, a good start, out to a 2-car length advantage. Eric Turner might have given a little bit of a love tap to the number 18 machine as J.C. Morton got a touch loose over in turn 1. That allows Andy Bryant to go back to the top shelf where he likes to run and is able to find some speed. He was sitting back and forth. He looks to the outside of Eric Turner. That's for 3rd. So Chris Jackson off and running. This is going to be a battle for 2nd now with 1.5 laps left. This one's all but said and done for Chris Jackson as Andy Bryant on the high side. White flag will come out. J.C. Morton sits back in 2nd. Another run off of turn 4. And I'm not quite sure if Andy Bryant's going to have anything for Eric Turner in this closing lap. Well, Chris Jackson, it took him a while, as Corey mentioned, to find the feel of this new car. He won back in May. The new Rage chassis now is hooked up, though. He will claim back-to-back wins last night and tonight. A win for Chris Jackson out of Lebanon, Missouri.
As the late models get loud on a Saturday night. Great jump on the start for Tucker Cox. Richwine to the outside. Caden Cornell with the nose under him. The 14 with the nose under the white 5-0. Tucker Cox out of Jefferson City, able to control this one all the way around for lap number 1. One down, 19 to go. Ashley Lancaster falls to the back of the pack now as she tries to catch up with the driver from Kansas City, Missouri. Dalton Emhoff slides up in front of the 99 of Hoover. And you've kind of got 3 packs. You've got Tucker Cox, you've got everybody behind Tucker Cox, then you got a group of about 5 cars behind the middle group here that now is led by Caden Cornell.
Yeah, right now Tucker is in a group all of his own, out in front by a good 8 car lengths over Caden Cornell in 2nd. Side by side, Richwine and Walker. Walker will have the advantage off of turn 4 this time, grabbing 3rd. And he'll have his eyes set on Caden Cornell. 2-time winner in Caden, 2-time winner in Walker. Sandwiched between 2 drivers looking for their first win of the year in Tucker Cox, as well as Cole Henson. Cole Henson, again, your current point leader, won a race at the end of the year last year, has kept momentum up as far as finishing positions are concerned, but just has not had the right car on the right night to get to victory lane.
But he's had a car that's been good enough and consistent enough with him behind the wheel to be the points leader in this Horse Auto Marine and RV ULMA late model division. The top 4 cars all strung out with tons of real estate to work with. Johnny Finwald, your back-to-back-to-back track champ, rounds out the top 5 with Sean Strong on the charge now around Richwine, back further in the field. Tucker Cox, Shane, enjoys a 1.6-second advantage over the driver from Willard, Missouri, Caden Cornell. Cornell looking for win number 3 on the season. The Capital Kid, the 20-year-old, sponsored by State Tech College, Cole County Upholstery, and Prison Brews, trying to get to victory lane for the first time. Right now, that blue and white hot rod looks good, but you and I have had this conversation with Chris Jackson. We've had it with other drivers. Right now, it's Tucker Cox's world, and everybody else is just driving in it. But one mistake, one bobble, and all of a sudden, Caden Cornell is going to be right up on his back bumper.
Well, Caden has the ability, whenever he's all on his own, to find a way to search for the fastest line around the track. We don't typically see him on the bottom line so much. We typically see him go up top. It's just not there tonight as Chad Richwine, after a great run through the heat race, his night is done. He will take the hard right-hand turn and call it an evening. And now Caden Cornell starting to reel in Tucker Cox. It was 1.6 seconds a lap ago, 1.3 seconds this time.
Cornell able to shave 0.3 of a second off the lead of Tucker Cox. Caden in that Hoover Motorsports Cloverleaf Auto Repair late model. He is your 3-time, your back-to-back-to-back Lucas Oil Speedway most popular driver, and he is still not coming off that bottom line, and it is starting to pay dividends. He is inching closer and closer to the backside of the 1T now. It was a 1.3 second advantage. Now it's a half a second difference between Tucker Cox and Caden Cornell.
And lap traffic's going to play into this in one way or the other. I'm not sure if Caden's going to be able to get around Tucker before they get to Dalton Imhoff, who would be the first car to go a lap down. You have to wonder right now if Tucker Cox has the experience leading a race and getting through lap traffic. We've seen him get through lap traffic before, but it's a little bit different whenever you're racing for position with the car behind you for the win and then trying to get through traffic on top of that.
He's going to try and hold on to that top spot. 6 more laps to go on this 20-lap A main for the late models. That differential just less than 0.7 of a second in lap traffic, specifically Dalton Imhoff in the 69 starting to get into Tucker Cox's way. Imhoff, I thought, was going to give the 1T a little bit of room, and then he slammed the door shut, came right back down in front of your race leader. Caden Cornell now within a car length of the 1T as they work their way off of turn number 4. Cornell now starting to come off that line a little bit, trying to look to the outside of Tucker Cox. Can't get around him, and don't forget about the 14, Dustin Walker, a 2-time winner, still right there. Cornell now makes a move to the outside, trying to pin Tucker Cox behind Imhoff, but Cornell too high on the track, and he couldn't find any of that tacky stuff to get a good run off of 4.
But it's a point where somebody's going to have to do that. Okay, so Dalton Imhoff makes a mistake here. He gets a little too high over in turns 1 and 2. There's 2 philosophies whenever it's lap traffic. Either you can spin out,
which is
whenever
not
you're over
what you were going to say.
4. That's not.
Single file restart. Striegel waves the green flag, and we get back to it. Tucker Cox had a good start on the opening drop of the green flag. He does so again here, racing off the bottom of turn number 2, gets 2.5 car lengths over Caden Cornell as they work their way through 3 and 4. Imhoff all the way in the back of the pack after the Imhoff construction ride brought out the only caution so far in this 20-lap A main for the late models. 2 more times around. Does Caden Cornell have a line he wants to try to get around the Capital Kid? Tucker Cox off the bottom of turn number 4 sees the white flag. 3 white cars, no 4 white cars will race all the way to the end of this one in the top 4 positions with Johnny Finnewald in 5th. Cornell peeks to the outside, dives back into the inside. Cox off of turn number 4 will race to a victory. Hand out the window, pump the fist. It's a trip to victory lane for the Capital Kid.